I'm going to take a few minutes to introduce myself. My name is Robert Trembath. I am CTO and CSO for a company called AIO Integrations. We are a young company. We've been around since 2024. We're a veteran-owned and operated company. Our forte, I've been 34 years in the industry. I've done work for Dell on 2 continents. I sit on 6 board of directors as a technical advisor, and I am acting CTO for 3 companies. I just gave up my 4th position as just a matter of time. I actually want to have a life. So I spent a lot of time in the last 6 years focusing on cybersecurity. I come from the enterprise side, but what we've learned is that the micro and small business market is the most underserved market in our business. You guys are the most unprotected, the most vulnerable, and are 65, 67% the largest target now, because you're easy to get to. You're easy to manipulate. And so we're going to show you some ways how not to be manipulated. We're going to give you some examples. And just to let you know, I'm not going to kill you with PowerPoints, okay? My slides are mainly to give you some information and back up what I'm talking about. I am going to be standing, talking, having an interactive conversation. If you want to say something, ask a question, raise your hand. I like interactive. I like having a conversation with you. I don't like it being one way. Okay, I present a little differently. I'm not going to throw everything to you in an hour and expect you to remember what I talked about 50 minutes ago. If something piques your fancy, something you want some more information, please ask, okay? I'm here to educate. This is 100% education. I'm not here to promote my company or my products other than tell you who we are and that we have solutions that can help you. We focus on anybody from the one-person realtor. We do stuff for realtors nationwide, some different groups like Compass and some other groups. We help onboard and do some things on the IT side. We are a full-service IT company, but our focus is fully managed cybersecurity, and we'll talk about what a real cybersecurity solution looks like. The title for today was How Hackers Hack You, and we find this kind of funny because a lot of people don't realize that it is not machines or networks they're hacking, it is people nowadays. And if you are one of these people still buying the myth and you think antivirus does anything to protect you from anything, you are so wrong. 94% of hackers, it doesn't matter what you're using. It breezes right by it, okay? It's about detection and it's about monitoring and it's about how we're monitoring. We have to monitor several different ways. And I'm going to give you a very example of something that happened to me as the CTO of the company 2 weeks ago from a Chinese actor, from a state actor in China. Happened to our company through a chain supply attack 2 weeks ago. And tell you how we mitigated it, how we discovered it, and we're also going to be talking about these. Anybody know how many more of these there are than actual computers online in the world? Compared to computers, there are more than 1,000 of these to every computer. Okay? These are the keys to the kingdom. Who does their banking on their phone? Show of hands. Who does their banking on their phone? Has a bank app? Corporate email? Business, personal email? Do you access things for your house? Cameras, doors, Skybell, Ring? These are the keys to the kingdom, okay? Never put anything on your phone that isn't non-essential. And what I mean by that, you know where it's coming from. You know that it is, games, anything. The extracurricular stuff is the stuff that usually is where most of the hackers are hiding. I could label the 4 biggest industries right now: gambling, porn, games, and free software or stolen software. Those 4 things right there are the biggest ways hackers get into your life through software means. So let's go ahead and talk about what's happening in the industry right now. So what's the myth? The myth is, if I use antivirus, I'm going to be protected. If I use LifeLock, I'm going to be protected. You know how many times LifeLock has been hacked? 5. 5 times. The guy you guys remember the guy that started LifeLock and he put his social security out on the whole world? Last thing you ever do is say, here you go, Mr. Hacker, come hack me. Because I guarantee you their talents way outweigh anything we have even at the national level, okay? He basically got sued 5 times. He ended up having to sell the company to Norton. It wasn't always Norton. He had to sell it because he basically got sued off the face of the planet and lost a ton of money. So don't ever challenge a hacker. Companies that say they secure your identity, absolute bull. There's no such thing. You secure your identity by practices we're going to talk about today. Okay, you do that. Monitoring it and keeping an eye on it is something you have to do all the time. And we're going to talk about how to exercise zero trust. All right, so what's happening? In 2018, we got introduced to something, became widespread, called ransomware, okay? Ransomware back then would just put a big thing on your screen and say, we've encrypted your data. Send us, $2,500 to this number in Bitcoin and we'll give you the key to unlock your data, okay? No big deal, a lot of companies did it. Back then, by the way, these are in the thousands. These numbers are in the thousands. This is almost 167,000 attacks during 18, averaging in an average remediation cost. Back then it was about $2,000 to $3,000, okay? Wasn't much. In 2019, we saw this number go down in total number of attacks, but look what happened in the average cost of remediation. We went up by a factor of, we quadrupled it in 1 year, okay? Now we come in 2020 and we start to see some new things happen. One, we start to see them go after backups. And then people understand that OneDrive and Dropbox, Box.com, these are not backup services. These are file sharing services, okay? They do nothing to back up your computer, and they're every bit as vulnerable as anything sitting on your desktop, okay? They do not back up data. And this is very misleading because whenever you set up your Microsoft OneDrive, it says, oh, well, we'll automatically back up your documents in this. All that means is they're sending it to the cloud, but because that is hard connected to the internet all the time, hackers can see it just as easily as you can. So they can encrypt it just as easily as they can anything on your system, okay? So we start to see that happen, and then we start to see them steal information. So now they get into your system, but they don't tell you they're there. They search around a little bit. They see how they can hurt you, what they can steal, how you can be exposed. Now, how many of you keep customer information on your computer, on your laptop? How many keep contracts or stuff that your clients have sent you? Owner's disclosures, okay? Wiring information. Keep it unencrypted, transfer it via email. All that's so vulnerable, it's not even funny. And if anything was ever traced back to you that it came from your device, you now become personally liable for it, okay? Then if any of that leaks back to a third-party company, you now have third-party liabilities. So this becomes a compliance and liability issue. Do you realize that from a compliance standpoint, you shouldn't be storing anything like that unencrypted on your laptops? And that there's a compliance fine of over $5,000 per document that's stored on your laptop if you were audited? This is the truth. I'm not lying to you. And you got to keep that stuff for 7 years. So how do I deal with that? So we're going to talk about a little bit of that later on. So 2020, we see that now we got a double-edged sword. Not only are they encrypting it, but they're stealing it first. So now if we don't pay them, they threaten to sell it or release it. Okay? So we start to see this, and look what happens. Attacks are a little bit higher, but look at our remediation costs. We're now approaching $195,000 per remediation cost. In 2 years, it's gone up from here to here. Look at this jump in 2021. Attacks go up, but look at this again, triples. Now we're looking at an average remediation cost of $400,000 per incident. That's ransoms paid, that's the loss of business, that's the cost to get your data back, okay? 1 year. We get into 2022, and for the first time, we hit just under $1 million in average remediation costs. This is per incident on a national average. 2023, IBM released the final numbers from 2023 2 weeks ago. The average remediation cost internationally is nearly $5 million. In the US, it's double that for US-based companies, double. IBM came up with this number, not me, that's their cyber division, okay? And just because you're small doesn't mean you're immune. We have worked with restaurants over in City Center. We have worked with automotive shops out in Katy. These are little 5-man, 10-employee companies that have been hit and actually put out of business for 3 weeks because they couldn't process payroll. They couldn't conduct business, buy supplies. The automotive shop in Katy almost cost him his business. He was out for 6 months while he got his stuff out. I don't know about you, but me being out of business for not being able to do business for 6 months is devastating, okay? So this is what's happening, all right? And we only expect this number to go up. This is from Statistica. This is the type of crime and how they're getting in. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, business email compromise is the number one. This is called phishing. You've heard this term before with a PH, right? Phishing? Phishing is the number one compromise. 9 out of 10 hacks. MGM, Caesars, go back to the United Healthcare one that happened earlier this year. All those can be brought back to a single person being hacked who had access to things in the company. Got in, some of it's United Healthcare, they spent 4 months looking around their network before they shut them down. Do you know how much it cost United Healthcare? They were not able to process claims for 4 months for nationwide. Cost them nearly $1 billion. $1 billion. Change healthcare systems. That's that basically the back end for United Healthcare. So what we're seeing is this is happening, and the second highest thing is called credentials theft. That's where they use phishing to steal your credentials. How many of you got an email saying, oh, you need to log in and change your email for Google or Microsoft or Netflix or whatever it might be? That's where you hit a page that they own, looks just like Chase or whoever they're pawning. You go in, you start entering your credentials, and it doesn't work. Okay? Then you put in another set of credentials, and that doesn't work. And you do 5 or 6 of them before you realize that, wait a minute, something's wrong. You just gave that hacker 5 or 6 set of credentials that within minutes they are hitting everything you own. Because guess what? Every single one of you, who owns a cell phone? Okay? Every cell phone provider on this planet has been hacked at least 3 times. And they have your socials, they have everything. It's what they do with it that people don't understand. So they already have your information. It's not an if, it's a when. It's out there, okay? How are they using it to get into your life? SMS. She mentioned something about how they were using it to redirect wire instructions. My parents had an incident last month, and they're in their 80s, where they got texted from their bank impersonating bank fraud. They were impersonating the bank about bank fraud, put a number on it. My parents, not knowing, called it, thought they were talking to their bank. When she gave out her bank password, which is something a bank will never ask for, okay? She then called me, had my dad call me on his line and said, and told me what was going on. I said, hang up right now. I said, is your bank local? She said, yeah. I said, take your phone down to your bank. And in the hour this transpired, they were trying to transfer $25,000 out of their account within an hour, from the point of start to the time she went to the bank. Luckily, we stopped it. We got it taken care of. But here's the thing. If they would have succeeded, you'd get none of it back. You want to know why? Because that's not fraud. You authorized it. You gave them the information. Even though they lied to you and you fooled you, that's not bank fraud. Okay? So once the money's gone, you aren't getting it back. And this is the position Chase and a lot of these people are starting to take. You've seen this in the news where people used a bad app from Chase and it milked thousands of dollars out of their accounts. It's been in the headlines, and Chase said, sorry, we're not giving your money back. It's because they gave them the permissions and they weren't smart enough to recognize what was illegitimate and what wasn't, and they're putting that back on you. So now it's upon you to become educated about what is and what isn't legitimate. And we're seeing this in companies. Computer use policies. And how many of you had to actually sign like an employee manual when you went in with your company? Computer use, what you can do with computers, emails, personal use for devices, your own devices, things like that. It's very common. Did you know that if you do anything that leads to their network being jeopardized through you, they can sue you? Yep, that's in the things now, because they no longer are going to take responsibility for it. And what's stupid out of this is that they won't pay to train you. They won't, yeah, they want you to sign and take liability, but yet they won't train you. And they go to the very bare minimum to meet their insurance requirements to train you, okay? You gotta realize, you guys in a company, to yourself and to the people you work for, you are the front line. You're like the offensive line that keeps people back from the quarterback. You guys are the ones that stop them from getting to the football. So wouldn't it make sense that they would teach you what to recognize, how to recognize phishing emails, how to recognize bad websites, how they get to you? It makes sense they would train you, right? So we're gonna be doing that today. So one last figure I wanna cover here. Do you see this number right here? This is where we're at. And by the way, this is in trillions of dollars globally, okay? We are at 14.5 trillion for this year so far. They're projecting just under 24 trillion by 2027 in 3 years. That's the damage caused financial damage caused by cyber theft and cybersecurity. That's a big number. That's almost as big as our national debt. Huge. All right. Any questions so far about what I talked about? I know that's doom and gloom, right? Let's get to the good stuff, okay? Antivirus software primarily focuses on detecting and preventing malicious software. In other words, it only knows about what we teach it, what we already know about, okay? And we know a lot about the bad things that are in computers, but the problem is it doesn't protect you from any of this stuff. What we call zero-day exploits. How many of you have seen your updates from Microsoft or whatever, and it's Chrome, and it says, we fixed this zero-day exploit from this? You've heard that term zero-day? Zero-day means it's a problem in the software that they don't have a fix to. It's a vulnerability they know hackers can take advantage of, but we don't know how to fix. So when you see something that says zero-day exploit fix, that means they finally found a fix to something they've probably known about as long as 4 years ago, sometimes longer, or 6 months ago. We don't know. But in Windows, Apple, Chrome, every other operating system out there, even Linux, and I'm a big Linux guy, which runs, a lot of people don't realize Linux runs 80% of the internet back end, okay, from a server standpoint. All the websites you hit, Linux powered, okay? So it does not know about this stuff. They have open problems with these softwares that nobody knows how to fix, and hackers can take advantage of. And they usually don't start looking at those problems until somebody takes advantage of it in the wild and starts exploiting it. And then they have to get really serious about fixing it because they know it's a problem. And that's what your updates fix. Are updates that you see to Windows and Apple and everything else in your Android phone are to fix those exploits and make your phone more secure. So how important do you think keeping your device updated is? Really huge. It's actually a compliance issue now. The other thing is, how many of you ever turned off your updates because you got tired of it bothering you? I don't want to mess with that. It's rebooting my computer in the middle of the day. I got work. How many of you disabled that? Worst thing you can ever do. Windows is known as Microsoft Update Day. Yeah, don't do that. Delay it and go back and do it later, but don't turn it off. That's not a good deal. All right, polymorphic malware. This is something where it changes itself. AI is being used. This is another form AI is being used for. So it comes in and it gets detected by your antivirus, okay? So it sees that, but it actually will, before it's detected and removed, it inserts 5 or 6 copies of itself under different names. And then when that gets detected, it puts itself in 3 or 4 more other places. It still uses the same method, but it renames itself and puts it in different places until it finally gets through and then compromises your system, okay? That antivirus does nothing to protect you from this because, again, antivirus is only going off what it knows, what it doesn't know. They have to train it, and then they have to update it. So this is why AI is so important in what we do on the protection side, is because AI can actually learn and can actually anticipate this and block it in real time. Social engineering. This is kind of what we talked about with credentials fraud and phishing. That is social engineering. How many people have a Facebook account and use Facebook? And okay, how many people have TikTok? Have you used TikTok? Okay, thank God. TikTok's probably the worst. Everything going through TikTok is filtered through China. I don't care what they tell you, it is. Snapchat. Snapchat is just as bad. What most people don't realize is the way the internet works. It's a big spider. It's a big network of machines. So your information, if I was to go send an email from myself to, say, my business partner in Austin. Now, we're on the same email system, but if I send it to his personal one on Microsoft, it has to go across 15 different bridges, computers, routers, before it actually gets to him. And at any one of those points, that information is cached and forwarded on. So how many different copies of my email do you think there are out there? Are you starting to see a pattern here with why you don't send contracts and personal information over unencrypted email? Unencrypted email can be stolen very easily. In fact, airports, Starbucks, public places are the #1 place that happens. You know, a hacker can come in off a small little device this big, can put up a network and imitate a Starbucks wireless, a McDonald's wireless, an airport wireless, and they can do that in 10 minutes and put it up. And it'll just say free Wi-Fi. It'll imitate what's in the airport. And they can steal encrypted or not, VPN or not, they can steal every piece of information that goes across that router, every single bit of it, and you never know. You want to know what I use? I use my own phone. I turn my hotspot on because I trust this source. I don't trust anybody else's Wi-Fi. I'm using their Wi-Fi here, but I'm not sending anything. I'm just using it to, just to be online while I do this and grab this document. But other than that, I'm not doing anything. So social engineering is very big. Have you guys ever read the license for Facebook? All of you that have looked at Facebook. Did you know that you can use Facebook just as easily on your device through Chrome as you can the app without having to install the app? And you can do that on any social thing like LinkedIn. But the first thing they do is they can detect you're on a phone. So when you go to their website, they're going to say, install our app. Seen that message? Go to a website like TikTok or Snapchat, somebody sent you a video and it comes up and it says, install our app, and it just flashes that thing in front of you, or you can just go ahead and watch it right there in the browser. Well, what you don't realize is the app is just a wrapper, okay? It's basically showing you the web version of their website in their wrapper. Here's what you don't understand is when you give them permission to install the app on your phone, you are giving them access to every single thing on your phone. They just stood in front of Congress last year, and I forget what senator it was, but they said, listen, how come you're still tracking GPS information when I turn off my location? I don't want, when I turn off my tracking and I tell the app not to do it, why is it still doing it? Oh, well, we have to have that to do this. I said, well, you're lying to them then. And he wouldn't come out and say it, but yeah, they are. So even though you're disabling these features, they are still collecting. And they use third-party companies to facilitate and manipulate this data. So it's not just them, it's the people they partner with and use. You guys remember a couple of years ago hearing about how they were using vacuum cleaners to map houses? They were using it and they were using Alexas to listen in on people's conversations in their houses. This was in the national news about 2-3 years ago. I won't own Alexa for this reason. Anything that can pick up your voice and use your voice can be turned into a listening device without your knowledge. Okay?
So some of these conspiracy theories are true.
They're not conspiracy theories. They're absolutely true. Did you know that the government, and I've seen the program, I'm not, this isn't bullshit, I hate to tell you, but the government can listen to you off your phone without your permission if they're doing surveillance on you when your phone is off. They can track your phone when it's off. Just because your phone isn't powered to your screen doesn't mean your phone is off. Okay? Did you know GPS in every one of your cars? It's absolutely true. The cars check in now, and they are farming that information to insurance companies. That's been proven. There's stuff about it on YouTube. If you want to go look, people discovered in their Toyotas that it's got a SIM card, and they are sending, and if you pull the SIM card out, it voids the warranty. Yeah, this is real stuff.
When you say off, you mean off like this?
I'm talking about the phone being entirely powered off. I'm talking about you went to your phone app and said start, restart, emergency mode, you turn it off, they can still listen to the phone. This is the, and I know because the senior RCO was the senior vice president for Verizon when the Patriot Act was there, okay? He's actually a former senior vice president for Verizon. He was there when they were putting in the equipment in the operating centers. And they have more equipment than they do in there. They see every text, they see everything that comes across the mobile networks, everything. Okay, so, and I'm not here to go lend to conspiracy theories, but I need you to be aware that everything you do on your phone is recorded at some point. So,
validating all of that.
well, and I don't want to get in any trouble. I don't want them to come after me, but this is something that most of us know. I go to a lot of stuff with Homeland and FBI, and you just need to be aware what you send through your phone is not secure. Okay. Be very careful about what you send. If you've got Facebook accounts, make them private. My mom just found out her Facebook, she thought her Facebook was hacked because someone was sending her, somebody had cloned her account and was sending it to there pretending to be her. I said, Mom, that's not being hacked. That means you have your account unsecure enough for them to steal pictures and personal information and pretend to be you. That happens a lot. And the only people that can really fix that are the people that they're going after, like your friends. They can report that as a fraudulent site and Facebook will investigate it and shut it down. But that cloning, that reproduction, that's social engineering, and that's being done a lot. I I get Facebook invites from people already in my Facebook network all the time. If you've had that happen, that's exactly what's happening. They're cloning their profiles and they're sending. You need to let them know about it, and then you need to report it. Because if you don't report it, guess what? Nobody knows about it. So part of being a responsible member in a digital world is not just understanding the threats and preventing it, it's reporting it. Because if you don't report it, we don't know what's happening. We're not mind readers. As I'm an IT guy, I'm a level 3 engineer. I have been for more than 30 years. Okay, I'm actually an engineer that knows how to talk to people. They call us super nerds. And that's a good thing nowadays. We can be your best friends. When it comes down to this kind of stuff, you need to put your Facebook things on private. In other words, and not friends of friends. You know, you can set your settings to friends and friends of friends. Only your friends, because you don't know what your friends are setting theirs to, and then your information becomes available through those friends of friends. So make them private, and only your friends, not friends of friends, but only your friends can see your information. That way you can lock it down as tight as you can, okay? Even if it is a company site, okay? Very important you do this because companies are getting cloned. All right, so social engineering right now, another form of social engineering. Who has kids? Come on, kids, grandkids, I got both. Have you guys ever seen these messages circulate on Facebook where it looks very harmless and it comes to your kid and it says, you know, they think it's from one of their friends and it says, hey, what's your pet's name? What elementary school did you go to? What were you born? Has all these like 10 little innocent questions. You know what those are? Those are bank security questions. Yep, it's exactly what they are, and they are sent by hackers, not their friends. They are setting up accounts, looking like kids, accessing other kids, and it's because they already have the information they stole from the schools. You got to realize that the reason we see schools being attacked is because schools have everything. They have health records, immunization records, Social Security. They have your kid's whole history there. And schools are stealing the money from the cyber departments to spend on, what do you think they're spending them on? Anybody take a guess? I'll give you one guess. What do we like to do here at this time of year on Friday night? Football. Believe it or not, these schools at an administration level are stealing money from their own IT departments and putting them in sports departments because they want to be famous for having the kid that went into the NFL straight out of high school. Yeah, this is happening. I'm not kidding you. I help these school districts get federal money, and then I see the federal money they get in that's allocated for that get bought to buy new school uniforms and stuff, you know, for the football teams and stuff that should never have happened, but it does. Because there's no oversight. So anyway, this kind of stuff is happening in the schools. How they're putting that together is they're building profiles on our kids, and they have our kids nailed before they even become adults. So they have the information they stole from the schools. They use social media. They put those two together, and now they know all this stuff about our children. So when our children become adults and start building lives, guess what they have already? They have everything. They know the answers to the security questions. They don't need to guess. We already gave it to them. They gave it to them out of their own free will through Facebook, just playing around because they thought they were talking to a kid. Part of being a responsible digital citizen, I like to use that term, is being a responsible digital parent. Be aware of what your kids are doing. Put digital controls on your kids. I do this for families. I teach this to families all over the country. You need to have parental controls on your devices. I go into Harmony schools and I do workshops for the students. A lot of time will show up with the parents. I say, you're not going to like what I'm about to teach your mom and dad. I'm going to tell them how to spy on you, and I'm going to tell them how to control what you're when you can get on your Xbox and when you can log into your computer. No, it's true. I'm going to show them. And they laugh. You know, parents are just sitting there smiling. The kids are freaking out like I've just ruined their life. But it's the truth. We have to know. I've got a granddaughter who's 10 who's got a phone. And she can talk to 8 people. They're all family members, but I've taught my daughter how to regulate who they can and can't talk to. She can't put apps on the phone. She can't do anything. She can talk to the 8 people that she's been allowed to talk to. Can't get on it past 8 o'clock. Has to turn it in when she goes to bed. Can't bring it in the bedroom alone. Those things, these are portable multimedia studios. This has got more photographic and video power in it than my Nikon that cost $1,500 sitting in my shelf. When you're paying that, you know, for those phones, You're paying for what's up here, the cameras and the optics and all that. That makes up 80% of the cost of your phone. Because what's in there and its ability to record that stuff and the processors and everything, those are mini computers and mini multimedia studios. I got a 64 megapixel camera in there that can do 60 frame 4K video. That's crazy. All right, so let's get on to the next thing. Anybody have any questions about what I just talked about? I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you and I'm talking about a lot of different things, but I want questions. Don't be afraid to ask. Go ahead.
What parental controls do you recommend? I mean, they change all the time, so it's hard to keep up.
Easiest, Microsoft Family, $10 a month. You get a shared OneDrive for everybody. It'll automatically, it's $10, so it gives everybody up to 5 members of your family. You get a terabyte of shared, and I get nothing out of this. Just to let you know, I'm not a Microsoft fanboy, so I'm just telling you I like the parental controls. You can set up login times, who they talk to. If you've got a teenager, it can actually monitor GPS, tell you where they are, tell you if they're driving too fast, if they're braking too fast. Oh yeah, you can get all sorts of good stuff off the phone.
Microsoft what?
Microsoft Family, and it's $10 a month without a contract, $60 a year with. Best investment you'll ever have if you have kids. You can do a shared drive so they can each have a terabyte of cloud space, backs up their laptop, and then you get one for the family. They can share pictures with the family. You got a little community area online. It isn't again, it's not a backup service, but it gives you kind of a nice private little online family area, which is nice. And you can see what your kids are up to.
What apps, sir, you said the 4 worst apps? I know games is one of them, gambling.
Oh, gambling, porn, free and free software. Where, in other words, anytime they offer you something free, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as free. It's the data they're getting off you that's valuable. You got to realize what your data is worth in the real world. Your data is everything. Okay, how you live, that data is money in the real world. Okay, and the other one was games, gambling, porn, and free software. Those 4. And they are very intrusive, and some more secretive than others. So we're going to talk about, this was made a few years ago, but I want to show you, just using antivirus alone on your computer, you don't do anything else, you don't learn anything else. You come out of here and say, Robert's just crazy, he doesn't know what he's talking about, okay? I'm just going to use my antivirus. 94% of hackers just breeze right through this crap, okay? They're through it without any issue. If we add email and spam filtering to this, we knock your risk factor down to about 73. So this is a combining factor. We take this, we add this, reduce risk. We add patched and update applications, drops another almost 9%. Add pop-up and blockers, which now, back in the day, Chrome wasn't doing that by default. Now it does have some basic pop-up blocking built in, and it's on by default. Look how much this blocks. Brings that risk down to 20. Cybersecurity training knocks it down more. Now, in my book, this is more valuable than this. The training, being aware, because now that the focus has been shifted more on people need to be aware of how it's happening. All right? And this is just other factors, but getting the risk down from that to this is our job, and it usually requires a combination of things, and there's more things we're going to talk about to help with that. So you heard me talk about Dropbox. Dropbox has been hacked over 10 times in the last 15 years since its existence, okay? That means they've gotten in, and I'll give you a good example. We worked with an attorney firm, okay? Guy had a Mac at home, opened a PDF, had Dropbox shared between his house and his office and his secretary. And this was a partner in a business law firm that, basically did commercial law. They're one of the best ones in Houston. They're not around anymore. They were bought and sold, so I'll name it Lawrence and Thompson. One of the partners used a Mac at home, opened a PDF, thought it was safe because he opened it on his Mac, put that in his Dropbox, and his secretary opened it at work. Infected her machine, infected his machine, and within an hour, because he was a partner and had access to every share in the company, went to the server and started encrypting 4 terabytes of company data. Yep. And this company refused at the time, before this lesson was learned, that not every attorney, and there's compliance laws that are in place for this, not every attorney should have access to every case. The law states that only the attorneys and that the people that are relevant to that case are the only ones that should have access to it. That was not how it was set up. And they refused to do it because they thought it was inconvenient. We were able to restore it. Took a day and a half to put everything back. They didn't lose anything. We caught it within an hour. But they had to go home for the day. They had a whole day of productivity they lost during this time. Okay? And if we didn't have a backup, we didn't have a good backup. If they would have got in and corrupted that backup, which is 65% of them now do, they go to the backups and the first thing they do is try and delete the backups. So you got no way to get back your data back. So you have to pay. All right? So we see this happen. Office 365, this number has actually gone down now. This number is down less than 15%. So we're seeing this. They're doing a lot to proactively get rid of people getting into those systems. G Suite, not so much. Most people don't realize that Gmail, if you're doing anything with Google, you're running your business off of Google, highly recommend you don't. Gmail and the Google platform, and I like Google just as much as anybody else. I have a Gmail account I've had since Gmail was beta, okay? The problem is that every known hacker on the planet uses Gmail because of their lack of restrictions. So they use Gmail to impersonate people, to run scams, and to send emails out in bulk, and they are a hacker-friendly product. And here's the worst part. They do not separate their commercial servers from their free servers. So everything's merged together on the same platform. Microsoft's free platform is completely separate from its company paid platform. So they are not part of each other, okay? So if you're using like MSN or Hotmail or Outlook.com, that's not part of the Office 365 system. Completely different. Those are using enterprise level systems where these over here are completely different for consumers. Google does not do that. They blend it into one platform for availability because it's cheaper. Do not recommend it. Do not want it. I don't recommend it at all. The rest of these, Salesforce is a SaaS program. They have had some issues in the past. They have, in fact. How many of you use GoDaddy? GoDaddy has had their entire source code stolen and had a hacker in their platform for 3 years. Biggest hack in history. Yep, biggest hack to an MSP in history. So if you use GoDaddy, I would strongly consider using somebody else. By the way, this is public information. It's out there. If you guys ever want to look for stuff that's going on, I'll give you a good site if you just want to keep an eye on stuff. There's a site called Data Breach Today. It's just a free site, and they log internationally kind of some of the big things going on. Bleeping computers, another one. Good thing. It's just bleeping, like bleep, bleepingcomputers.com, another good news source. So we're going to talk about how hackers get in. They start here. What we see are 4 main methods. Phishing emails, we see clickbait pop-ups. How many of you seen the little pop-up that impersonates Norton or McAfee and says, we found a virus. Your system's at risk. Click here. Call this number. Don't turn off your computer or it may break. Okay? Actually, what they tell you not to do is the very thing you should do. But don't hit Control-Alt-Delete. Okay? That's what I mean by clickbait. Or maybe it takes over your entire screen and says your screen's been infected. Well, guess what? At that point, your computer's not infected. That's just that is an infected website you hit. It saw there was a problem with the browser. Maybe it wasn't up to date, and it took over your screen. But it's not infected yet. But if you click anywhere in that message, you're going to be redirected to something that is. Okay? So we'll talk about how do you fix that since we're on that topic. Everybody, who's got Windows, who's Apple? Both? Okay, so in Windows, it's going to be Control-Alt-Delete. Okay? You hit Control-Alt-Delete, you're going to bring up something that looks like this. You get a screen that looks like this. You want to go to Task Manager. Inside Task Manager, it's going to bring up a window of all the things running on your machine. Find Chrome, Edge, all your browsers, programs. Find those instances, click on them, and hit End Task. You'll see it disappear. It is a browser representation meant to look like it's infected, and it's not.
Should you do that kind of regularly?
No. Oh, no. Just if you're seeing this problem.
Okay.
And then you can end that task and you can kill it. Okay, that's how you get rid of that problem. Now in a Mac, it's a little bit different. In a Mac, you're going to want to go. There's a menu you can go to. I recommend you just reboot the machine on a Mac. It's not going to hurt it. They'll tell you it will, but it won't. Okay, just log out and log back in. Okay, but when you log out, tell it not to reopen the programs you had. Same thing with the browser. When you kill the browser like that, the next time you open it up, it's going to say, do you want me to restore the previous session? Say no. Okay? And then you're fine. Make a note of whatever website it was you were on that you hit last when that is. And I would probably, if you know the people that own it, notify them. If you don't, just avoid it. Okay? Stay away from it, because it means that website's been infected. And somebody at some point is going to, usually administration or somebody inside will catch it at some point. But I would not recommend going back to it and trying it again, and you'll find yourself probably in the same predicament. Okay? URL phishing. URL phishing is a little bit different, and it's used in conjunction with Google results. How many of you misspelled a website and ended up on a site that said your computer was infected? Where you meant to type in Google, but you put in one too many O's or one too many G's or one too many L's, and you ended up at a site that was owned by somebody else, and it said, it flashed up a window, said, your computer's infected, call this number. I mean, they actually did a thing for Geek Squad. They actually bought like a Geek Squad whatever domain it was, and it looked like Geek Squad. They actually put ads up on Google. They paid Google ads, and they bought ads for Geek Squad. So when people search for Geek Squad, the first thing you see, what shows up when you do a Google search, what is the first 5 things that show up? They're ads. They are not results. They are advertising. And they say sponsored by or ad on them. Your results don't start until literally the next page down. Then you get your true results. Hackers are not learning this, and they are spending money and buying ads for tech support, help desk, Geek Squad, things that you would put in to help fix your computer, antivirus, cybersecurity, all those fun things, and they're buying those ads. So you go click on that ad, you go to them, and they're pretending to be tech support when they're not. And you're talking to some guy in India who's going to try and get into your computer and establish a link. This happens all the time. I highly recommend you're looking for an IT company, then yeah, you can use Google. Go to somebody you trust. Go to a networking group. There's so many networking groups. Most people I know belong to one. There's BNI, there's Alignable. I run an Alignable group with 2,500 members in it. There's every business known to man there, and some. Plus, others that are industry specific, okay? But LinkedIn, go to somebody you trust. Ask for reference, ask for somebody. But do not trust Google search results. They are not, especially in the world of cybersecurity, they are compromised. Have you guys seen the news lately? This happened in the last couple of weeks, where they discovered KnowBe4, who's a company that does cybersecurity training for a living. They're like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They hired a Asian developer, a programmer, to come hire. He went through all the vetting process and everything. He turned out to be a North Korean hacker that, upon receiving his computer from the company and everything, within the first hour was planting malware in their systems. It was discovered because they're a cybersecurity company. They have a good system, and they discovered it, killed it, and do it. But what we're finding is they are infiltrating our industry, which is even making it harder to get legitimate help. So know who you're talking to when you have people getting into your computer. Don't allow remote access. Exercise zero trust. If you don't know who these people are and know for sure they're good, do not let them in your computer. Don't let them have remote access. More than likely, if they do, they will establish a way to get back when you are not there. Okay? That's why this is important. So we call this phishing. This is how they're getting into you. Okay? When you click on these things, why are you doing that? You're doing that because you're either busy or distracted. It looks very realistic, so it's convincing. Or maybe you got it from a friend. And I'm going to tell you guys, some of the people here I was sharing this with. So I myself was victim to what we call a chain supply attack 2 weeks ago from a state actor in China. I'm in the industry. I'm pretty well published in what I do, and a lot of people know who I am, so I'm targeted quite often. This was through a company called MHA. They're a nonprofit organization for mental health nationally, and we consult for them. The president of that company, who we've been working with on an AI project, emailed me something in relation to a project we were working on. Well, little did I know they were infected. They didn't know. They started having emails sent out from their C-level people in their organization, including the president's office, to us and other people that it looked legitimate. The project was legitimate. It was legitimately from them, but hidden in the link was actually a link back to a server they owned and controlled. And when you went into it, it brought up a page that looked just like Microsoft, where you put in your authentication to access, which we had. And you get a document. Well, I didn't open the document, but I got in, but it required me to use, who uses MFA? Who uses Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator? Where you have to get the little code and you put in the code that it's put in there. Anybody ever seen it? It looks like this. And you get a little code that you have to put back in. So it's called Google Authenticator, okay? And it's meant as MFA, okay? So MFA stands for multi-factor authentication. So basically they send you a thing to your phone, you put the code in, it validates that you are the person. Well, their system not only did it infect my computer, but it installed through MFA, it installed 12 certificates from China, root certificates on my phone that compromised my MFA. Did it die? Sorry, there you go. So it puts on these codes that I have to put in for different sites and authenticates who I'm in. They change, I can refresh them and they change out to new codes every couple of minutes, okay? So, and that's part of our authentication system and it's used by a lot of people. So it actually put those on my phone. If I did not have our cyber product on my phone that detected those certificate installs, I would have never known my device was compromised. I had to reset my phone. Factory reset it to get rid of it, okay? I can tell you right now that I actually notified MFA that it infected my phone because they didn't know. Why is that important? Because every time I use my phone to re-authenticate, even after I change my password, guess what they get? They get a notice I changed my password and what it was I changed it to. So I could change my password 15 times and they just get it over and over again. So that's why phones are important. So we protect, as a company, we don't just protect your devices, we protect these too. No matter if they're Chrome. We had to reset the phone, factory reset the phone, because it installed what's called certificates, root certificates. Those root certificates they basically certified that that is a trusted entity. And they installed 12 certificates from China on my phone saying that that Chinese server was a legitimate thing. Couldn't get it off. We had to reset the phone to get rid of it.
So you had a problem?
Huh?
How did you know you had a problem?
Because we have a system in place, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, that actually monitors login activity. And we started to see, within 5 minutes, we started seeing logins from China. We saw logins from China, Netherlands, the Philippines, and 3 other places in the States. Actually 6 different logins from 6 different places, and we knew that within 5 minutes.
So then when we get those messages, it says someone tried to log in, would we get one of those messages?
Yep, we do, because it's a monitored service, and we notify you. We look at those, and we can instantly shut off access to the account like that. We can actually, what we call, isolate the account. So when we see things like that from places they shouldn't, we isolate it, we shut it off. We say, so it's no longer accessible from the outside world until we figure out what's going on. Then we unlock it.
You mentioned not using GoDaddy. Do you have another company you recommend?
For domains, it's more expensive, but for domains, I'd use Network Solutions. They are the original. Network Solutions is the original DNS host provider and name register from when the internet first came out in '91. I've been using them ever since. I don't use anybody but, and I've never had an issue. You can netsol.com, netsol.com, and it'll redirect to the whole name. But they are a little more expensive, but they are the original and largest network registry globally. So getting back to this, pop-up lookalikes, we talked about this. This is how many of you had to multitask in a day? You got 5 things going on, you're busy, you've got 9 hours in on the day, and you're reading emails, you're reading your phone, you're trying to schedule your stuff for the next day. They count on us being overworked and distracted as Americans because they know we are, and this is how they get into us, okay? And they use these tools, unpatched software, out-of-date systems, browser exploits, those zero-day exploits, and ineffective protection. They use a combination of these things to get past, and once they're in, they don't make themselves known. It's not like they're gonna go in and, hello, I'm here, Mr. Hacker. Just want to let you know I'm stopping in and going to stick around for a little while. It doesn't work that way. They hide themselves very well. If you start seeing unusually, like your computer slows down a lot, and you're wondering wow, my computer's slow, my connection got really slow. What's going on? That is usually a good sign something's going on that shouldn't be, okay? If you start seeing unusual activity, like your mouse decides to start moving around on its own while you're just sitting there and all of a sudden it just kind of takes a drift. Mine, I have an excuse. I got 3 big dogs and they come knock my keyboard around all the time. But if you don't have any of those and it just kind of mysteriously moves, that is more than likely a sign too. Have somebody check it out. And don't trust Geek Squad, please. Those guys have 0 certifications in anything. They have a little company test they take, but they have no Microsoft certifications, no anything. Talk to a real certified person, an IT company, okay?
When you factory reset your phone, did you lose everything, right?
You
But
do, everything that's on the phone. How you back it up, okay, so proper way to keep your stuff on your phone. How many of you have a Google or a Microsoft account? You keep a calendar, your contacts, all that stuff. Make sure it's in one of those things. The reason why this is important, like I'm a huge Office, I'm Microsoft certified, so I do a ton of stuff in Office 365. So I keep my stuff in my Office 365 profile. My contacts are there, my calendar's there, I use OneDrive to keep my photos backed up into the cloud, so anything I take on my phone goes there, okay? So basically anything on my phone is replicated into the cloud automatically for me. The nice thing that's important about this is that when you do that, if something gets compromised on your phone, we can shut off access to that device and have it removed from the phone remotely. So if my phone got, let's say my laptop or my phone got stolen at an airport, somebody came in and just stole my bag, okay? I can go into any web browser, log in. I would have a little harder time authenticating myself. I have to have 2 methods of authentication, a primary, which is my phone. The second is a business phone that comes in through another method that I can get that has nothing to do with my cell phone, okay? So I can choose to have it sent to me that way as well, just in case my phone gets stolen, all right? And then I can go into that interface and I can see, look at my devices. It's called MDM, Mobile Device Management. It allows us to see the devices that are connected in the system, and we can disallow and remote wipe our information from that system. So I can go in and say, sorry, this device no longer has access to to my account anymore. I can remove the access to the data, to the email, to the account contacts, everything. I can just wipe it without having to touch it right through the network, okay? Then I go in and I set up my new device and I just reconnect it to my account and all my stuff just comes back in. So I don't have to go through all that setup process again. So very important to use those kind of network services to keep that stuff. So if your device is ever stolen, it's really easy to get it back. Your phone gets smashed. It's just really easy way to manage your mobile devices, okay? All right, so we kind of talked about how they hack you, how they get in. I want you to understand that you as people are a lot easier to hack than machines or networks or firewalls. I know it's not sexy, you know, somebody sitting in there in a hoodie. It's a business. They are in offices with 30 people in it, and they're sitting there and they're supporting each other. There's go on to YouTube and look up a thing called, there's actually a guy there's groups that do this just for fun, and then some that do it for a living, but Scammers Revenge or something like that. And they actually, huh? Yeah, Scammer Payback. These guys go in and they're actually backed by some of the bigger companies. And what they do is they reverse hack these guys. They pretend to be victims. And then they get into the hackers' networks. They break into their camera networks. They break into their thing, and they actually reverse hack them. And the really sad thing is in the governments like India and stuff, most of the countries are the law enforcement agencies are in with them. So basically, even though they go in, we've actually seen them get arrested, and they're right back out and establish another company a little bit later, 2 weeks later, they're right back at it again with another platform. But these people are, unfortunately, it's the world we live in. The countries don't care. They don't care about whether it's happening to us, because they don't really like us very much, because they don't like our way of living. And we're not the most popular country in the world right now. No matter what we do, we won't be the most popular country in the world to a lot of people. We're always going to be looked at as a place to steal from. Okay, no matter what. So mobile devices, I'm going to state this. We talked about it earlier. Okay, just watch it. Only put on what you want. Well, in fact, when you get your phone, there's usually a lot of stuff you don't want. How many of you get, like I'm on T-Mobile, they send stuff to me all the time and they want me to install games and they want me to install apps they think they want. I exit out of that crap and I just get out of it, and I only put on what I absolutely need. Okay, that's it. What I need. Nothing else, all right?
Should I take the games off of the phone? Just
Absolutely.
delete them?
Yep, just go in and uninstall them.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys can manage what's on your phone, and they do install a lot of that crap by default. First thing we do as an IT company when we get computers from people, even brand new ones from Dell and HP, we de-bloat them. We go in and remove all the crap that they ship with it because they are paid by these companies to put it on there. They make money from that. So first thing we do is do that. Okay, so let's talk about some people here told me you guys were hacked earlier, okay, that you had problems with this. Most companies have not planned for this event. 82% of them were put out of business within 6 months. That's a real number, okay? I'm not making it up. Others have backups of the data, can restore it, what was stolen, but they're not planning for is that hackers have already stolen the information and they will sell it, okay? And we actually have a way, one of our providers that we work with will actually go through and do a scan through your system for you. We charge like $500 for this eval, but we'll go through and we'll tell you how much the information that you have on your computers are worth on the dark web. And you'd be surprised. The little guys have more stuff than the big guys. We've been through companies like, we did some stuff for Chicago Title, and we came up with, I think we ran across one time like 565,000 of exposure. We did a realtor and we came up with 16 million in exposure on a single realtor. Yep. They were in the business for 20-something years. They had contracts dating back 15 years on their computer, unencrypted on their hard drive. All that is worth a dollar amount on the dark web to a person, okay, to a hacker. That's information they can sell, okay?
What's the deal with WhatsApp?
Wouldn't use it either.
I mean, I just hear so many other realtors that, they'll get
It
they say they want to communicate on WhatsApp. I mean, how do they...
Because it's secure, it is a secure form, but it's still a platform that is proprietary, and they allow third parties into the information. So if you consider third party access to your information secure, then use it. But it's safer than text messaging. I will say that. Yes.
Why do they prefer that then?
Why do they prefer what? Text?
Yeah, so I just hear a lot about scams where people would prefer to use WhatsApp than a text.
Scams happen everywhere, and this is something you guys need to realize. Okay, we're going to talk about the term zero trust. They're happening, we get phone calls, and one of the big things we're seeing now is they're using, because their voices, hello, my name is Henry, can I help you? Yeah, right, Henry. You sound like you're from around the corner. Yeah. They can't disguise their voices. So now what they're doing is they have programs where they can literally type into it, and it's very convincing. You can find videos on YouTube where people have put up some of the stuff where they actually show you on the recording of their phone, and they're having a conversation with somebody who sounds like very American, and they're joking, and they're literally just typing this stuff into an AI bot that is then repeating it in very clear English. He was at ransom for $1,000, couldn't pay it, and the details of this were not made public, but I'll tell you about them because I know about them from the FBI and what we learned. They did catch the hackers. They are in jail and being arraigned for murder. Okay, 3 of them Nigerian, and they were stateside. Here's the thing: they approached this guy with fake pictures of just some generic stuff they pulled off, some kid sites and social media. They basically pretend to be a girl. He thought he was talking to a girl the whole time, and sent compromising photos of himself to this girl. And they did this via Snapchat. Parents had no clue because they weren't monitoring the device. They trusted their kid. That's fine, trust your kid, but don't trust the people on the other end. Kid got ransomed. They contacted him. They said, send us $1,000. We're going to release this to your friends and this, and you're going to lose your college ride and all this, and put all this pressure on him. Kid paid $300, couldn't pay anymore, said, please don't do this, it'll ruin my life. And what the hackers told him, played out, this is the text. Go ahead, you're going to wish you were dead by the time we were done with you. 2 days later, the kid committed suicide. Okay?
And the parents didn't know.
Parents had no clue. Here's the crazy part. We have 7,000 documented cases of this last year. 7,000. Those are the ones we know about, okay? 16 suicides as a result of that. 16. None of them, parents had a clue what was happening. Now, it's great that we can catch some of them and put them in jail, but it does not bring their kid back, okay? There's nothing we can do to help that family and get rid of the grief and prevent the problem. So, have any of you guys seen that? There's a TV thing about a guy that plays an FBI guy who is tracking down basically people that are buying child pornography. And so this is a movie, and it was done by one of the Christian organizations, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. Sound of Freedom. And he basically decides that I can't have this anymore. Somebody asked him, how many of the criminals do you actually catch? They're catching the people using it, but they're not catching the people producing it and saving the kids. And by accident, he saved a I forget if it was the daughter, I think. It was either the boy or the daughter, but he had a sister or brother, and so the sibling was still caught. And he used, it made him quit, and he basically took it upon himself. He was an ex-SEAL, took it upon himself to go after, quit his job and went after these people, went into their domain, their territory, and caught these people and liberated some kids. And now he and his group do that professionally. It's all they do. And his wife, it's a true story, his wife fully backs him, risks his life for this. He's got kids of his own, but amazing story. And the problem is that this is happening every day. We have to find a better way to protect our kids. So we have on our website, so if you ever want to go there on our website, and I'll give you the site today, we have a free series we did for parents. Go to watch it. There's 3 pieces. There's 2 for, there's one that's meant for you and kids using technology in the house, where we talk about what's happening on social media, what to watch out for. And then we have one that's just for parents. We talk about digital parenting tools, ways to rein in digital media in your house and create better, more responsible digital. How many of you want more real time with your kids? How many of you want more time as a family instead of where you go to a restaurant and you see every member of the family doing this? Okay? They don't talk to you. They're sitting there at a table with each other, but everybody's doing this. Okay? So what I do is I teach them how to have response. Like, we help them set rules. When you come home and it's dinner time, phones get turned into a basket. Recharge basket goes there. You've had all day to have with your friends. It's now family time. You have a computer upstairs that's in a public area, not a bedroom, not a personal computer. It's in a public area. They use that for homework. So there's nothing hidden. You have protections on that to protect your kids. Make sure that things like sites that you don't want them at are ruled out from them being. And yes, there is better stuff now than there used to be, but there are still ways for them to get around that, so be aware of it. Nothing's perfect. It's not a perfect world. But putting those rules in place, we've seen real transformation in families. We've seen families have real time, real relationships with their kids come back. I mean, I don't know about you, but my granddaughter, who's 10, has a better relationship with her tablet than my daughter does with her mother. And she would rather be doing that than being with family. And now that they've moved into an area of Ohio where they live across from a park, we've kind of gotten them to look at that, and they spend more time doing kayaking and things like that now, and they're reclaiming some of that time. I grew up a lot of us grew up in a time where, you know, if it was nice like this outside, our parents would get the hell out of the house. What are you doing in here? We'll see you at dinner. And then when but they knew my friends. They knew my friends' parents, and I knew it was going to happen if I wasn't back when I was supposed to be back. We don't live in that kind of life anymore. We have kids that have these, and 80% of the friends that they have in here aren't friends, and half of them aren't who they say they are. So how do we protect them from that? So definitely look at it. If you guys want to know more, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. But we do we do stuff for churches and communities, and we talk about how to protect families and enrich family life, make a good blend, healthy blend of digital and otherwise. So I wanted to go back to this. Some people have cyber insurance and believe they're covered. Well, that actually is a real misnomer. It's just because you have insurance doesn't mean you're actually covered. And I'm going to talk about that. If I can get my little mouse to work here. There we go. So most claims, you guys know most claims for breaches are not paid. You want to know why? Because when they first started doing this, they got taken to the cleaners. What are insurance companies, and if you're some of your insurance, I'm sorry, forgive me. What are insurance companies in the business to do? Yep, they're in the business to collect premiums, okay? And to do their best to not pay claims. So they have put a lot of fine print, and we just had a conversation with a title company about this. I'm not going to say who, isn't anybody here. Part of Fidelity's network. You guys know Fidelity got breached earlier this year. and they own several interests, big company. So we had to talk about this because they didn't believe it was in their fine print. Okay? Companies must prove their employees attended a cybersecurity awareness class, and that will change. In other words, you have to actually go and attend and prove you went. So you have to have certification that you went and you passed. That includes testing, or you're part of an active cyber deterrence program like what we offer, and I'll talk about that in a minute, okay? The other thing is you have to prove that you have a proactive security policy in place and a policy, a written document that says what happens if I get hacked. What is my procedure? Okay, now if you are doing business with any kind of a government entity like the IRS, bookkeeping, anything like that, it is now an IRS requirement that you provide a copy of that document to them, or they will not let you act on others' behalves. Okay, compliance issue. If it's determined the breach was part of a state actor or affiliated with you in any way, shape, or form, in other words, a state actor is affiliated with North Korea, China, and they have proof that whoever did it has acted on that state actor's behalf, which is 80% of them, they won't pay. It's considered a terrorist act. We don't cover terrorist acts. If it's determined the breach was caused by a company contractor, employee, or ex-employee, that means that your ex-employee isn't happy with you, gives up, says, oh, I happen to know the admin password, I had admin access, and I just decided I'm not happy with you and I deleted your stuff. Or I went in and I gave somebody access because I have a friend that's a hacker and they deleted access or they did something. Or it was compromised through a chain supply like what happened with us. Somebody else came in and got into it through us. Or, actually sent us in and I fell for it. Not covered. They don't pay. These are written into the fine print of almost every cyber insurance policy out there now. No joke. I had to actually prove it. And they will refuse to pay the claim part of it. Do you know that the Change Healthcare one for United Healthcare was drawn back to one person who wasn't using multi-factor authentication on their account, and they didn't get a dime. Not a dime, because it was determined that that person violated company policy, no longer has a job, and probably has a nice big lawsuit against them, I'm sure, from Change, and cost the company almost $1 billion. One person not using MFA. And it always draws down to one person. Caesars, MGM, one person. Yep, always. It only takes one to ruin it for the company. The financial impact is severe. And what most people don't understand is that this affects little guys as well as big guys. They do not care whether you are one person, 5, 10, 15, or 1,500, okay? They will take anything they can get from you, regardless if it's $5,000, $25,000. I was part of something at FBI where they had an IT person, somebody in my industry, almost got taken for $250,000. This is what they do for a living, and they were duped. And they almost lost $283,000 in a real estate transaction because they were being fooled by somebody they thought was a broker. And on a property that wasn't even listed with them, they pretended to be the broker that it was listed with, and they took money from them via wire. And they found out at the last minute, it happened to be a hacker that was monitored by a security group. The security group actually called them and said, don't do it. They had to convince them not to do it. Oh, I'm sure they're the right person. No, they're not. Trust us. Don't do this transaction. They pulled out of it. That guy saved him, or her, sorry, $283,000. But she was about ready to wire that person that money for a deposit on a property in San Francisco that was worth $1.7 million. Yep. Happens. Happens in our trade, and this is very relative to your trade. This is happening, and it's happening every day. So I'm going to stop for a second before I get in. I'm going to talk about solutions at this point. I'm going to take a little time because I really don't want to self-promote. I just want to tell you guys what it is, what we do, how we protect you. And so that way, what I am going to preface this with is that if you want to know more, I'm going to give you a link up here to the address where you can set up an appointment with me. I'm kind of like the mattress Mac in my industry. You're talking to the guy that does the demos and does it. I have a team of people behind me, but I work this every day. I'll probably do it till I die. I love it. It's what I do. I enjoy what I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. So it's kind of like you can go down to the store down on Katy and still see Matt coming in there almost every day. He's still down there. I like what I do. So you get to deal with me or one of my team and all of our team to give you an idea of our background. Kirby Atwood, our CEO, He's got 40 plus years in M&A, biotech. He comes out of the banking side, but he's mostly our finance and money guy. That's why he's the CEO. Robert Thornton, our COO, is a former senior vice president for Verizon. He's the gentleman I was referring to that was there when the Patriot Act happened and all that stuff came down with the surveillance stuff from the government. Jason, our CISO, we call him a CISO. It stands for Chief Information Security Officer. We love acronyms. We will kill you with acronyms. He is based out of Tennessee. He is a former Navy SEAL. He's set up 2 security operations centers for the Army and Special Forces. And so when I tell you he is a really neat individual, and we are a veteran-owned. Kirby is also former Navy intelligence and CIA, our president. So when I tell you that we have a very strong background in what we do, I'm not kidding. We're 100% veteran-owned and operated. So, and we don't use any companies outside the U.S. We don't outsource anything. We are 100% U.S.-based. So that's about us. Any questions about what I taught? I threw a lot of stuff at you guys. I'm going to leave one more thing to you about stuff. Talk about zero trust. I forgot to say this earlier. One more thing. Do not trust anything that comes in via email, text, phone calls, anything. Do not trust it. Zero trust, okay? And I tell you this for a reason. All of it can be faked. If you are being notified about something you're not sure about, go to the source. Go to a computer. Go to your app. If you're being notified about something in Chase, go to Chase. Okay? Do not trust the links or the phone numbers or anything within that notification. Don't trust it at all. Okay? All of it can be faked. All of it can look very real. This is what I mean by zero trust. Do not trust any of it. Go to the source. And if you think your device is compromised, do it on a different device. Go to a computer. Do it from your computer. Log into your bank. See what's going on. Okay? Call your bank. But use the number that you know, not the number being provided.
So, what is that?
They can clone the number if they have access. A lot of people don't realize that how many people here, and this is related to it because this is a question that came up recently. How many people here don't have any kind of protection on your phone, like a passcode, biometrics? You just have your phone open. Anybody? Okay, you want to use biometrics as much as possible. Fingerprints, I wouldn't even say face, because face is okay, but if somebody knocks you out, they can just hold your phone right in front of you and it's unlocked. Okay, same thing with fingerprints, but I like to use a combination. Pins are always the best, because if they knock you out, they can't use your fingerprint, they can't use your face, they don't know the pin, okay? And I always have my phone program, if I put my pin in more than 3 times wrong, it's locked the device. So yeah, you can do that, and that's very important. So going back to what you said, yes, they can clone. They can also put in what's called SIM clones. If you leave your phone unattended, and this doesn't require any kind of password access, okay? They can get within a certain radius of your phone. They can pull your card. And I've seen this happen in 30 seconds by pros. They have a little tool they can do to pop your SIM out. Honestly, it looks like a little pin. Pop your SIM out, they pull it out, they put it into a duplicator. It takes about 15 seconds for them to clone your SIM because there's not much information on it. It's just. And what happens is they clone it, okay? So they can clone, they can also clone VoIP, which is a common way of communication now. Ring Central, a lot of them use VoIP. Most phone systems can be cloned. So they can clone a lot of phone systems, and these are, we see this with Allworks and some of the proprietary systems. There's a number of them that were out that are now bankrupt and gone because they didn't know how to do it properly, and they got cloned, they got caught up in that and sued. But yes, you can clone accounts, especially from VoIP. They can pretend, you can put anything in a caller ID field and make it look like you're coming from anywhere.
And that's what they did.
Yep.
So it looked like it was coming from Chase.
You can also have your SIM stolen, and they can actually steal your calls, and they can actually become part of that call without you even knowing about it. Wow. Because that means every text, when they clone your SIM, every text, every phone call, everything, your voicemail, everything, they can replicate and get into, because that is the key. That is the key for that phone. Is that SIM?
But they would have to actually get into your.
30 seconds, that's all they need.
30 seconds.
Yeah, and they don't need a password for that. They just need a little tool. It looks like a little pin. Literally, it's on the side of every phone. Mine's on the top.
Right.
You guys have probably seen it. It's in that little slot right there. Okay? They can come in, put a pin on there, it pops out. They have a little device that literally fits in the palm of your hand. It's battery driven. They can put that in there, put a blank SIM in, they can clone that SIM in 20 seconds. And then they just slip your SIM back in. Or they can put in their own SIM and keep your original, which is a lot of what's happening. You're hearing about these SIMs that steal money from bank apps. That's one of those done. They replace the SIM, and instead of routing to Chase, it copies all the stuff you're doing with Chase. Chase is one of the banks being hit by this right now, by the way. And Chase is not giving anybody their money back because they're saying it's your responsibility as a person to watch out after your own device. So they are giving you zero back. There are people that had 6 figures taken on this. It should have been paid for by FDIC and wasn't. So SIMs, it's a little pop out. It's a little slim, and it can be on the side or the top of your phone. It's got a little dot in it. And basically, what you do is you just push it in, pops out. It's a little card about that big. Okay, you've seen them when you buy a phone. They put it in your phone, or you get it shipped to your house and they tell you to change it out. They'll actually send you the tool to do it for free. That SIM is the key to your phone. It ties. It basically is what tells the cellular network that this device is yours. Like if I ever broke my phone, I have a spare home at my house, a spare phone. If this breaks, I can just pop that SIM out, put it in my spare phone, and I'm good to go. Okay, same thing, except they copy it. So everything coming in your phone goes to them.
I think they're making phones. Some phones don't have SIM cards now. Is that right?
Well, they have some eSIMs. So a lot of people don't know that if you have multiple numbers, like let's say you have an old number and you got a new number in a local area, you can keep your old number and go to an eSIM. And what it is, it's a piece of software runs on your phone, and it will bring your old number into your phone through that eSIM. So you can have basically 2 phones on the same phone, which is nice if you don't want to carry around 2 phones. So keep in mind, they have your social, they have your addresses, they have your phone numbers. They already have all this. This stuff, I mean, the dark web is full of this from multiple sources. So if they know, they can verify all that stuff back to you easily. And so you got to be careful what you volunteer back to them based on that. When somebody calls me and they are telling me they're calling and I need you to verify your information, I said, sorry, I don't know who you are. I'm not verifying anything back to you. And if it's somebody financially, send me an email, send me a phone number, send me something in writing that I can look at. And of course, you never hear from them. Then you try calling the number back, and the number's not even a real number. So you obviously knew it was fake.
I had something happen.
It wasn't the credit union. They know the number, so they can put that on the caller ID and make it look like them.
So, yeah, I mean.
And they're the one texting you, so they know.
Right.
And the texts always come from like a 6-digit number or something that's not really a phone number.
Well, and you don't know, and you're not.
It's a messaging service.
Oh my God, so.
Don't trust anything that's, like I said, zero trust.
Yeah, I
Don't
just
trust it
went
at all.
online, I looked up my credit union.
And don't give them any information.
Yeah. Just hang up and go verify it for yourself.
And
Okay.
they don't want you to hang up.
A lot of them now are getting very smart about that, and you'll see spam likely, things like that. I don't ever pick up those calls. I actually have this little thing called Google Assist. It's called a call screener. And it'll pick up, when it rings in, it'll say, screen a call. And Google says, this is the Google Assistant. Can you please tell me who you are? And 10 out of 10 times, these people just hang up. They don't even do anything. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. For those of you who have Google phones, I'm sure Apple has something very similar. But when a call comes in, and let's see, I'll tell you what, I'll give somebody my number here. Who's got a phone they want to call me on real quick? Anybody got? My phone number is 281.
Okay, hang on. I got to put my password in.
No way. Hey! All right. I like her.
Okay, go ahead. 281
692
692.
4540. And I've never got a call from her, so we'll see what comes up. Oh, hold on. I got do not disturb on. Let me take that off.
Okay.
No, there we go. It's coming. Okay, so see where it says screen?
Yeah.
See it says screen right there? So it has a little button that says screen right on the bottom. Right there? So if I hit screen, it will actually listen to what it says.
Hi, I'm Google Virtual Calling Assistant recording this call for the person you're trying to reach. Can you say what you're calling about?
Oh, I love it. Oh my God.
And it will tell me, it'll record that and send it to me, and I can choose to accept the call or not. Now, 9 times out of 10, I'm sorry you didn't get to see that, but it's just a little button that says screen right above. It's right above the red mark. It says screen. It's on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
You want to call me one more time, and I'll put that up for them? I have to do it because it'll go to voicemail after a certain amount.
It won't work on a flip phone, though.
No, well, if it's Android.
Probably
Okay,
safer than all of these.
see where it says screen?
Oh, yeah.
I'll walk that around real quick. See where it says screen right above it? Okay, and you heard what it did. All right, when I hit screen, this is what happens.
So how do you set it up?
It's that way automatically. Most people just don't use it. That is a built-in feature to Google that most people just don't use, believe it or not.
But you're answering the call. You can answer the call with that, right?
Afterwards.
And there's a place to pick up the call. So if they leave something and say, oh, this is John, I'm just trying to reach you, and you don't recognize the number, you can pick up the call right there and take it. And I do that all the time because I get calls from people I don't know all the time. My cell phone is pretty well published by a lot of people, and I'm one of those people that I don't care. So I answer for everybody unless I see that. Mine's pretty well trained. So anytime I get a number that comes up as spam likely, I do that. And then it gives me an option. If they hang up, it gives me an option to report it as spam. And I just boop, do that, and it's gone. I'll never get a call from them again.
iPhones do have it. I
They-
just Googled it.
They do? Okay. Yeah, so that screen feature is there for you to prevent that kind of stuff. And
It's
to,
available for iPhone as well.
yeah.
Find Google Screen on your phone. How do you find it?
Oh, it pops up. It just pops up when someone calls you. It's at the bottom. You have to be receiving a call for that to come up.
Okay.
When you receive a call and you have the option to pick it up or hang it up, it'll be right above there. You'll see the word screen. And that's built into every Google phone. Now, any kind of Android, Samsung should do it as well. So, hey, taught you something new. One last thing I'll leave you with in the zero trust category. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Do you have any recommendation for an antivirus software?
Yep, I'm going to talk about that today. Believe it or not, the free stuff from Microsoft is not bad, okay? You don't need to actually pay for, it's not any better, it's not any worse than McAfee or anything else, and don't waste your money. McAfee, Norton, it's just absolute trash. LifeLock, trash. It's a waste of money. Don't waste your money, okay? I will talk, honestly, it's more about good practice in what you're doing, and exercising zero trust than it is anything. I have never, before we started cybersecurity in this company, I never used anything above that, believe it or not, except for Bitdefender. Now, Bitdefender is a good product. If I had to take a commercial product I want to spend money on above the free stuff, I would say Bitdefender. But I'm going to show you a product. Our stuff includes a product that's actually a cybersecurity. It includes the endpoint. It uses AI, so we protect you against a lot of things that we talked about that antivirus doesn't. Okay, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It's actually more affordable than you think. Okay, and we'll talk about it in just a second. One last thing in zero trust, we're going to get on to solutions and what a true cybersecurity solution looks like. Okay, I'm going to roll up my sleeves because it's getting a little warm in here, which I'm surprised at because it's beautiful outside. How many of you have used a checking debit card and had the question posed to you, do you want to use debit or credit? You got it. They all do. Debit or credit? Anybody know, do you think one's riskier than the other? Oh, yeah. Which one do you think is riskier? Debit. Yeah, very good. You guys are, hey, I like you. I like all of you here. Good answers. Why?
Because credit is, you are protected by,
The credit
debit
card
comes
company.
straight out of your bank account,
Right.
but credit goes to a
You don't get the Visa MasterCard protections if you do debit. That's actually a really good reason, okay? So when you're using it as credit, you get the Visa MasterCard protections and you can dispute those things that way. It still goes to your bank, but you're getting more protections that way. The second reason why it's really important that a lot of you don't know is when you do it as a debit transaction, you have to use your PIN. Now, I don't recommend anybody ever use their PIN in public, especially the number one place this is stolen from is gas stations. Gas stations, I don't care who they are, inside mostly, outside just as much. Most of these places have cameras surveilling those things, and they can go back and they record it, all of it, so it doesn't matter, they don't have to be sitting there watching it. Debit cards, when they are stored in, you've heard the term POS, point of sale system, okay? They all use point of sale systems. Well, it is law that when you are storing credit card numbers in a POS system, you can only store the last four. Guess what you don't have to do with debit? It prints out the whole thing. So somebody can actually take that card number, can reprint it, and watch a video of your PIN, and they can reproduce a credit card in 10 minutes that they can go use and steal money from your account. We have seen people do it in as little as 10 minutes and start taking $500 transactions from the very same gas station in which it was stolen. Now, I'm going to trip on that thing for the life of me, so I'm staying away from there. So to give you an idea, the reason why this is important is because, one, you don't ever want to expose your PIN, okay, ever. And if you're using a store that says, sorry, you can't, or you ever go to a gas station where it's not, you go try to use the cards outside and it's not working, bad sign. Okay, just go to a different gas station, okay? Because then your other option is to hand that card to a person behind the counter that has probably screwed that up on purpose, where they have to physically take your card and watch them. How many of you seen, you know what skimming devices are? You've heard that term,
Yeah.
okay? Skimming card readers basically are everywhere, and they are every kind of device, okay? Have you guys seen the seals they put on gas pumps? Do you know they're sealed and certified? There's actually a paper, like a sticker seal that goes across them. If you ever go to a pump and that sticker seal is broken, do not use it. That means somebody has gotten into it that shouldn't have and didn't replace the seal. That seal is there as a security seal to make sure somebody who wasn't supposed to be in there was, because there can be scanners behind the system you can't see as well as scanners in front of it.
And where is that seal?
That seal is usually around the outside of the pump, and you're very visible, because usually you'll see ones that have been broken and they don't remove them, they just tape over them or create a new one, but look for an unbroken seal. Every gas station has to abide by this, because they come and when they inspect them for accuracy, they reseal them, okay? And if that seal's been broken, that means somebody has got into the actual pump that had no business being there and didn't fix it, okay? The second thing is there's what's called the wiggle test. If you're using one on a counter, stick your finger underneath and just lift up on it a little bit. The skimmers on the counter ones will lift up, they'll lift off, and you'll tell they'll be loose. That you'll see it separate from the actual machine, because the machine itself has weight to it, where these are plastic covers meant to look just like them, and they sit right over the top of them. So if you just go up and just take your fingers and lift up on the edge, and if you feel any separation or it feels like a cover, just kind of look. I mean, if they say, what are you looking for? I'm just checking for a skimmer. Nothing bad about that. The gas pumps or ATMs, wiggle where you put your card in. Okay, just wiggle it. Real ones do not move, okay? Skimmers are devices that go over the top. They're stuck there by tape usually. And what will happen is it will have movement. It'll have give. If it moves, do not put your card in it, okay? And 9 times out of 10, the guys in the gas station are part of it, okay? So reporting it to them means nothing. Call the non-emergency line for Harris County Sheriff. Tell them I suspect there's some skimmers at this gas station, and have them come out. Now, I will give you a true story. Barker Cypress and 290, there's a Shell station just on the left side of the freeway. I live in Cypress. I pulled up to that gas station, and I went up to one pump, and I put my card in, just not checking. Usually I check, I didn't, I was in a hurry, and my card didn't scan. That's also a tall tale sign there's a skimmer. If your card doesn't scan the first time, or it doesn't read it, start checking. 9 times, like if you get busy and you forget, check it just to make sure. Could be an error, but check it, because a lot of the scanners do not read the first time. Nowadays, you're seeing where they hold your card in, and you have to provide proof, like in other words, you'll set your card in, and it'll say it's a chip card, leave it in. Those are really good, because those actually read the chip, and you have to supply a zip code or a PIN. Say bypass and put your zip code in, okay? Don't expose a PIN, all right? That will take the billing zip code against your card, match it up. If it doesn't match, that's not going to allow the transaction to happen. If it does, then the transaction happens, but it's reading that digital chip. There's also radio too, tap. You guys have seen those, right?
Which is more dangerous, to tap or to insert?
Tapping. Because tapping it uses NFC or Bluetooth, what's called near frequency.
So tapping is more
Yeah, yeah. Phones are okay, because you have to use a biometric to confirm. Like if you go to a Starbucks and you give them your phone and say use GPay or Apple Pay, usually you have to use your thumbprint or your face to authorize the transmission to unlock it. That's okay. I use my phone for that kind of stuff. But like on one of my business cards, I have tap. Usually have this that kind of, see that little symbol? That's tap. That means this card can be read by a digital device. Okay? That means that somebody can put up a digital device inside the actual device itself. This is why I said to check the pump. And they can imitate the reader, okay, and steal the money. That happens a lot. Did I show you? Yep. You see the. So this is the chip, and that's not a transmitter. But when you see this, that is two different types of tapping. Is not the same thing as the chip. They are different. The chip, you have to insert it. When you have tap, I'll give you an instance. Like here's another card. Okay, this card is chip without a radio signal. See the difference? Okay. The difference is that little wireless signal. Okay, those are two different types. So you have on each card. Like on this card, I got three methods. I have a stripe on the back, I have a chip on the front, and I got tap. This one, I got chip, and I have swipe. Okay, so depending on the type of card you have, there are 2 to 3 different ways to buy. Okay, I can tell you right now, I don't buy at Kroger anymore because they changed out. That's Kroger by our house. They made me where I have to put a pin in. I said, I'm not going to do it. I guess I'm not shopping at your store. So I go to H-E-B. Yeah. Yeah, are we short on time? Okay. Let's get to solution here. I'm going to spend very little time on this, like I said. So a complete cybersecurity solution encompasses a lot of things. It encompasses AI. We use AI to actually monitor the endpoint. So we do put an AI-powered endpoint. It basically uses there's 2 types of AI, machine learning and what we call deep learning. Deep learning is the type of AI that drives Teslas into self-driving, okay? Machine learning means we have to teach it. We have to give it data and teach it all the time. So we use deep learning AI in our sets, which means it has the ability to actively learn and detect. Our software is capable of preventing 99.9% of open, what we said, 0-day stuff within 5 milliseconds. And it's very accurate, very good, and if anything, we get more false positives than we do anything. We won't restrict it, but it notifies. When I say monitoring, we have a SOC, a Security Operations Center. It flags us. It tells us when something's been caught or something's been brought to our attention. It's looked at by a trained person who's meant to look for that stuff, certified in what he does, and he determines whether it's a threat or not. So it's not just the software, it's people looking at it to make sure that it's good. We're also monitoring logins to your accounts. That's how we caught the guys from China. We saw that they were logging in from places I wouldn't normally in, and we got an alert that there was a login from an area I shouldn't have been in or wouldn't have been in. We detected that, we isolated the account, we stopped it, we blocked it, we changed our passwords, we reset the phones, and within 10 minutes, we had them totally blocked out before they could steal anything. PC management, we automate your updating and optimization so you don't have to worry about it. We do it for you. We actually put a small piece of software that allows us to automate the maintenance of the machine and keep it running at its prime. It makes sure all the latest security updates are out as soon as they come in, and if they're low on like driver updates and stuff, we just do those like once a month. We don't do those as often. Cloud backups. We have a cloud-based backup system. True backup. I'm going to spend just 2 minutes talking about this. The difference between a real backup and something like OneDrive is that OneDrive and Dropbox are connected to your machine all the time when you're online. That means hackers can access it. A true backup system will take a snapshot of what it looks like at that moment in time, send it someplace remote, and then disconnect so it can't be reached. Our system is like that. It's called immutable storage. It means hackers can't touch it, okay? So we take a snapshot, not just of your data, we snapshot your whole physical hard drive. Okay, you don't even have to tell us what to do. We do the whole hard drive, everything on it, regardless of size. That's one fee to do everything. And we send it off to our secure data center in Oregon, okay? So it's done automatically for you. We back it up every day. If you tell us I only need it Monday through Friday, that's fine. Otherwise, we do it every day. And we do a master, and then we back up incrementals every day. So if you miss having your laptop online, the next time you hook up, it'll back up that evening, okay? So sometimes some people travel, don't do it every day, that's fine. If you want to do it real quick before you travel, you can notify us, say, hey, my machine's online, I need to grab a snapshot before I get on the plane. I'm going to Israel or whatever it might be. Microsoft 365 or Google, we manage these for you. So we monitor the logins, we set up the security on the accounts, we make sure MFA is set up the way it is, we make sure the device management is set up properly to where we can isolate the device and kill the data on it if it ever gets stolen, okay? Cyber training. On our stuff, we have classes that teach you proper ways to manage your devices, how to recognize phishing emails, how to recognize infected websites, all that stuff. And we keep track of it. We test you afterwards. Just very simple. They're 2-minute videos. They're fun. They get right to the point, and we ask you a question. If you don't pass, I get notified and I send you a different one. We present the information to you a little different way, okay? But we have all sorts of stuff like that for proper passwords, what kind of passwords you should be using, proper password management, about 20 different topics. And we send you about 3 a month. And once you do them, we keep track of that. If you don't do them, we're sending you a reminder saying, hey, you didn't do your stuff. You need to go back and do it. And we keep track of that. So if you're ever working with a company that requires you to have that, we keep that certification and results on hand, okay? And it builds a score. We also monitor 2 ways. We monitor the device, like we showed you here, but we also monitor your account with Office or Google to make sure that it's not being improperly used. And if we see any kind of unusual activity, we're notifying you right away, and we're isolating to let you know before it gets out of control. Hackers are counting on you not to pay attention, okay? The difference in a true cybersecurity system is it covers all these things. It covers data backup, it covers monitoring, it covers device protection, and it covers training. If you don't cover all these things, then you're leaving something to get. We have never had a company, not once in our entire company's existence, be hacked. We spend a lot of time securing people and remediating people, but we've never had a client be hacked, and we protect over 5,000 devices nationally right now. We're not a big company, but we're growing. We had 300% growth last year, and we're expecting to do it again this year. And we do all our growth mostly through stuff like this. So thank you very much for paying attention to me. I know I probably bored the socks off you, but.
Can we find that information about suggestions?
Yes.
About the family?
Yeah, it's on our website, and I'm going to show you right here. So our website is right there, getaiointegrations.com. And I'm going to pull this up. I just have a snapshot here. You see this? This is what our techs see. So we're monitoring phishing, cloud posture, your external footprint. We're looking for cloud shares. We even have a browser plugin that goes into Chrome and Edge and will keep you from infected websites and email protection. So we actually employ a third-party email filter. So we look at all your email coming in, and we can stop phishing emails from getting to you before they get to you. So we actually integrate with Google and Microsoft at the cloud level. You don't have to do anything on your side. Once we're set up, it's all done cloud to cloud, and we work directly with them at the cloud level. And we even monitor the dark web. So we'll tell you who's got your stuff, where it is, and we'll even tell you what password combinations have been compromised so you can make sure they're not being used. Okay? And we do that all included in the service.
We just log into that website you're saying.
Yeah, if you go to that website, you're going to go to a page. If you go get a demo, you're going to go to a page that looks like this. All you got to do is, it's real simple. Just give us your name, email, way to get a hold of you, when you'd like to do a demo with us, and we'll do a demo on the system. And this system, just for the cybersecurity itself, is $35 per user. Okay, that's it. And each user can have as many devices as they want except cell devices. Cell devices are about $5 each. But we'll give you device protection that looks for what we call man-in-the-middle of attacks, MFA, like where you're doing MFA issues, but a standard account on this is $34.95. And that's it. It's a month. There's no contracts, no setup, nothing. We trust that we're going to do a good job, and if you like what we do, we know we're going to do business with you. And we've had clients that have followed us from our old company to our new company and been with us for 15 years. So.
I have a question. Do you recommend VPNs on your phone?
No.
Okay.
The only reason you need a VPN is, okay, VPNs do one thing, they encrypt the traffic, okay, but they don't protect you from websites or hackers. That's a very, I see the commercials for Nord and I have to laugh. They do not, that is habit stuff. They don't, all they do is, like, if you're at an airport and you don't want your stuff to be seen, that's good to use in an airport or a public area where you don't want people to see what you're transmitting, like emails, things like that. But if you're using a hacker-owned point, he'll still be able to see it. That's the problem. So it's one of the things you guys really need to look at is if any of you here have a lot of client data on your laptops, I highly suggest when we talk about the demo, I will have Jason on board. He's our former Navy SEAL, and he will talk to you about data encryption. We have a service that doesn't require you to encrypt your whole hard drive. It's inexpensive. It's like $15 per computer, okay? And what it does is the setup is a little more extensive. It costs a little more to get it set up because we actually do an analysis part and we tell you what your risk is based on what we find. We look at everything in your laptop and tell you what your risk is based on the value of the information. And then we can at that time, we'll take that, for that, the cost of that's like $350. You get to apply that towards the setup, which is $1,000. But once that's set up, it's like $15 a month and there's no contracts. What it does is it encrypts. You will work with us. That setup fee covers us working with you to tell what you want to encrypt and what you don't, like contracts, like wiring instructions, types of information. And it will automatically encrypt it the moment it hits your hard drive. And then we teach you how to unencrypt it, to email it, or how to send it safely to people where they can view it unencrypted through file sharing and things like that. Okay? So, but the whole point is it encrypts just the files that are important on your computer and not the whole hard drive. So you don't see most people are running encrypted hard drives, the speed goes down a lot, like 20%. Your system gets about 20% slower. This allows us just to encrypt the information that's important. So it's you don't get that performance degradation. That happens sometimes. I've got right now a company called, my old business was Spectrum 360. I'm getting stuff in my house for Spectrum painting. I've never owned a painting business in my life. And somebody has tried to register a name to copy our old company. He doesn't realize it's been sold and not even in business anymore, trying to imitate that name. We just notified the DA, we notified the state, the Attorney General's office about it, so they can see who owns that name, who it's registered to. Because to buy a name, even if you just do a simple DBA, you got to go into the state and you have to pay for it. Now that doesn't mean they have a DBA, but a lot of times these people will have one, and they can either correct the information there or they can go after the person who registered it, one of the two. So not saying they will. Getting the law to do anything they're supposed to do nowadays is really tough. I had a son hit and run by a car, and I couldn't get him to even write the guy a ticket. They almost killed him. Because he was in a different county. They told us, we'll write him a ticket and we'll arrest him, but he'll be out on $100 bail in 24 hours, so why do it? I'm like, really? Yeah.
How can more than one person have the same?
They don't, they just pretend to.
They pretend to.
It's spoofing. It's just a form of what's called spoofing. You've seen email spoofing, there's phone number spoofing. SMS spoofing. Spoofing is a general term where they imitate an actual number or business and pretend to be that thing. So that happens a lot.
What would you recommend I do on that?
It's not a lot you can do. Yeah, that's just, it's a world we live in, and people steal, people cheat, it happens.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions? You guys have been a lot of good questions. Thank you. You're very welcome, and thank you for having me. And if any of you want this for your companies, we do this for free for anybody who wants it.